In today's Daily Dose of Math, we are answering the question, what is the difference between the x-intercepts of line 1 and line 2? To do this, you have to be able to find the zeros of a straight line. Sometimes they're handed to you, sometimes you have to do some calculations to find them. I'm going to do several examples, but example 1 is going to be the easiest and fastest. In this case, line 1 is right here, and we have been given its x-intercept, it's 0, which is -4. And line 2 is down here, and we have also been given its x-intercept, or 0, which is -2. We have to find the difference between them, which means we need to subtract. -4 minus -2 is equal to -4 plus 2, which is -2, but we can take the absolute value of that and say the difference is 2. And yes, when you count along the number line that is the x-axis, you can see there is a difference of 2 units between these two intercepts. If I do it backwards, -2 minus -4 is the same as -2 plus 4, which is +2. I don't have to do any absolute valuing. I can see right away that the difference between them is 2. That is example 1, and yes, that was rather straightforward. So I'll make an example that demands a little bit more of you, and I'll be right back. Here in example 2, we have line 1, which has the point 25 on it, and the point -20. Line 2, we're given the equation. When we want to know the difference between the x-intercepts, for line 1, the x-intercept happens to have been given to us. -20 is the x-intercept. For the x-intercept of line 2, I have to plug y equals 0 into the equation. I'll start with that. 0 equals 1/2 x minus 2. If we solve for x, we have to be finding this x-intercept. Moving the 2 to the other side, it becomes positive. And then multiplying both sides by 2, my fraction cancels, and I have x equals 4. So the x-intercept for line 2 is 4. The x-intercept for line 1 is -2. 4 minus -2 equals 6. The difference between the x-intercepts of these two lines is 6. Okay, now I'm going to put another example, and I'll make it a little bit less easy this time. Here in example 3, I'm looking for the difference between the x-intercepts of line 1 and line 2. They're given on this graph, and I need to find the difference between their zeros. X-intercepts are the zeros, so I'll show those in a different color. But I'm not reading the coordinates of those off the graph. I want to have exact coordinates of those x-intercepts so I can have an exact final answer. So I'm going to find the equations of both lines. Starting with line 1, I'm doing the slope formula. 4 minus -1 over 3 minus -4 gives me 5/7. I have y equals 5/7x plus b. I'm going to plug in one of the points so that I can find my b, and I'm going to plug in the point 3, 4. So 4 equals 5/7 times 3 plus b. 4 equals 15/7 plus b. b is equal to 4 minus 15/7, which is 28/7 minus 15/7, which is 13/7. I have my equation. Y equals 5/7 x plus 13/7. I need to find the 0 of line 1, the x-intercept. And I'll get that right away by plugging y equals 0 into this equation. 0 equals this. Therefore, -5/7 x equals 13/7. X is equal to 13/7 divided by -5/7, which is 13/7 times -7/5, which gives me negative 13/5. I have the x-intercept of line 1. Now I have to do the same things for line 2. Slope formula, -1 minus -3 over 3 minus -2 is 2/5. I have y equals 2/5 x plus b. I'll plug in the point 3, -1. B is equal to -11/5. So I have the equation y equals 2/5 x minus 11/5. I need to find the 0. That is the point where y is equal to 0. So 0 equals 2/5 x minus 11/5. 11/5 therefore is equal to 2/5 x. Divide both sides by 2/5. These cancel. X is equal to 11/5 divided by 2/5, which is 11/5 times 5/2, which is 11/2. I know both zeros. I know both x-intercepts. I want to know the difference between them, which means I take one of them and I subtract the other. Since I'm subtracting a negative, I am adding 11/2 plus 13/5. I'm running out of space here, aren't I? Equals 55/10 plus 26/10 equals 81/10, or if I want 8.1 units. That is the difference between the x-intercepts of these two lines. Notice how I stayed in fraction all the way through this. Some students would be very tempted to switch to decimal, and it does make the calculations a little bit faster to go through. You don't have to show so many steps, but switching to decimal often involves having to round. 2/5 gives us 0.4, 11/5 gives us 2.2, but 5/7, 13/7 we would end up rounding. And that is going to affect the accuracy of our final answer. No unit of measure was given in this question, no scale was given. I'm going to use the word units as my unit of measure, and therefore there's my final answer. This has been 3 examples of finding the difference between the x-intercepts of 2 lines. That is today's Daily Dose of Math. Please like, subscribe, and share.